What's good? What's good? How you guys out there doing? You already know what this is. I am JT from the Twisted Tongue Podcast. And long time no hear, my Twisted Tongue family. I hope you guys are really doing good out there. I know there's a lot that's going on. A lot that's going on with the virus. Let me try to get this a little bit good and see where we are with that. And hopefully you guys can hear me okay and everything. I should have probably checked my audios before I started. So, Tupac, Biggie, the saga continues, the deaths and the untold truths. And especially like nowadays with YouTube. I mean, now that we have YouTube going on, we have a lot of things that's people are using to spread their own narrative. There's a lot that people are saying to start their own narrative. A lot of things that really just didn't happen, or things that we didn't hear the 25 so ago years when we first had heard of their deaths and how the reports came out, and the reports all are changing now and the stories all are changing. And I want to talk about that real quickly with you guys. Just want to get a little bit better. Get that light out of here a little bit. Guess we go like right there. So I scheduled for Gene Deal to call in with us today. And Gene Deal is, or he was Diddy's former head of security, or his life protector. I don't like using the word bodyguard because bodyguard, there's so many different, when you use the word bodyguard, there's like a stigma that goes with it. You know, flunky, slave, someone that is being paid to get killed for someone else. So I kind of want to give it more of a better word than to call someone's bodyguard. I want to go ahead and say that Gene Deal was P. Diddy's life protector. And he's in New York, so hopefully the logistics will work because there's a lot going on in New York. So I do have him scheduled to join in. And I want to talk to him about him being with Bad Boy. And he spent the last 2 weeks with Biggie exclusively. Now, even though he was Puffy was his main principal, Biggie was still someone who he had gotten very close to. And he had spent the last night with Biggie before Biggie died. Not only did he spend the last night with Biggie before Biggie died, he actually, after Biggie was murdered, he jumped in the truck to chase down Biggie's murderer. So hopefully he'll call in and get in with us, and we can actually get a lot of good stories from him of being with Bad Boy and being with Biggie, especially the night that he died. The first thing I want to touch on when it comes to Tupac and Biggie is I want to talk about the detective Gene Cady. Now, for those who don't know, Gene Cady is a detective that wrote the documentary Murder Rap, where he claimed that he was going to solve the murders of Biggie and Tupac. And in his mind, I guess he kind of did. He told us that Biggie was murdered by Poochie, one of Suge Knight's friends, and he told us that Tupac was murdered by Orlando. Now, when he first started this documentary, the very first thing that Gene Cady told us was that he had to do a documentary because we are a culture that don't read. So he already came in the door, not being a friend of the people or a friend of the culture, by saying that he had to produce a documentary because he couldn't write in a book. So that raised kind of red flags for me right there. Because I'm like, okay, how can this guy just come out of nowhere? He's a detective, and he actually was investigating the Biggie Smalls murder because Mrs. Wallace, Biggie's mother, had said that the LAPD had some involvement in it. So his whole involvement in the murder was to try to clear the LAPD police department for having any responsibility in the death of Biggie Smalls. So, of course, what he's going to do is he's going to try to come up with information that's going to try to clear them. So he came in and said that he did the documentary Murder Rap because we were a culture that do not read. So I don't know how many black people Greg Caden has been around, but I have a library in my house with several books. I know many, many black people that read. I know many educated black people. I know black people that have doctorate degrees and master degrees. So we definitely are a culture that reads. We definitely are a culture that reads. The second thing with Gene Katie that kind of made me raise an eyebrow, I never forget, because I was 25 years old. I think I was like 25 years old when Tupac had got killed and when Biggie had got killed. Either 24, 25, somewhere in that area. And you remember, because it was happening with you in live time, so you remember certain things. And the very first thing that I remembered was that when they first had interviewed, especially Killing of Tupac, the very first thing that they had, when the very first time they interviewed someone, the very first thing that was told by witnesses that was in Tupac's entourage was that a big black hand came out of the window. Big black arm came out of the window and shot Tupac. Well, then when we see the person that was arrested, which was Orlando, the one who got beat up at the MGM casino, we saw this skinny thug model looking guy. So that kind of got me to wonder, like, wait a minute. Now, that's two different things. You know, there's two different reports coming out. Where's the guy with the big black arm? I'm expecting to see the guy that supposedly shot Tupac, this big burly guy with the, big black arm, and then you come and you send me this, you say this is a person that killed Tupac, and this is, like I said, this skinny thug model looking guy. And we all know, because that's a sexy narrative. See, these people now, especially Gene Caden and the podcast that he has going on, all the people that he has with him, they have to change the narratives of what really happened with Pac and Biggie, because them not changing the narrative is not going to sell. These guys are selling a lot of podcasts, they're selling a lot of shows, they're going all around the world and they're telling the story and they're giving this false narrative because it's a sexy narrative. It's sexy to say that Orlando shot Tupac. It's not sexy to say that the person that really did shoot him didn't shoot him. And I really hope that Gene can connect with us, because he was actually there. He was actually next to them. He had dealings with Tupac when Tupac ran up on Puffy and all them when they were in California. He was there when a lot of stuff went down, so he know a lot of things. And one of the things that I really want to ask him is, well, we heard that it wasn't that Tupac, the white Cadillac, drove up to Tupac and just started shooting him. That's not what the story that we heard. And that's one of the things that I want to ask Gene. We heard here that the white Cadillac rolled up on Tupac to ask him for a fair one or a fade. So basically, for those who don't know what a fair one or what a fade is, that Orlando won the one-on-one with Tupac. And Tupac reached for a gun. And that's when the Cadillac in the back, the gunshots came out. And I wanted to ask Gene, was that story true? That it was not just someone just drove up on Tupac and drove up on Suge Knight and started blasting. That actually, that there was a conversation that wanted to be had for a fair fight, because we all saw the video of how they jumped on Orlando. And I kind of believe that story a little bit, as much of a Tupac fan that I am. Because if you go back to the Quad City shooting, that was pretty much the same story that was told back then. That pretty much at the time of the robbery, that Tupac reached for his gun. And that's when the gunshots went off. So this would be like two times where Tupac actually was in a situation and he reached to draw for his gun and he came out on the wrong end of that. So I want to kind of get depictive truth about what really happened. What really happened. Because it's just so easy to go off and sell all these books and say, this is what happened, this is what happened. And the murder of Tupac, oh, he's dead, nothing to see here. The murder of Biggie, oh, he's dead, nothing to see here. And the thing that kills me is, like, only when it comes to us and our people, murderers can't be caught, they have to be dead. Any other celebrity, and these are big cases, these are two big celebrities, these are probably the two biggest hip-hop stars to ever walk this earth. So it is a big deal. This is like John Lennon. This is like the guy that Nevada, for other cultures. This is what these two people were to us. So when you hearing all this stuff and you seeing all these different stories, you kind of want to get to the truth. And that's why I had asked Gene Deal to come on the show. We had scheduled for him to come on the show this afternoon. But like I said, I understand there's a lot of things going on in New York, and logistics are kind of bad because everybody's on Facebook and everybody is on social media. So we're going to see, can we get him there? But even if he don't come in, I got you got me, and we're just going to talk about some things. One of the things that I definitely want to talk to him about is I wanted him to take us back to that night Biggie was dead, because I did talk to him prior to us doing our show today. So I had to do, some research and everything. And one of the things that I found fascinating that you don't really hear about in this whole Biggie situation is that they said that a car had just came up and started shooting Biggie. And according to the security that I talked to, that wasn't true. That there was an ambush, and that car was parked there on the corner. And when Biggie drove past, the car had started shooting. Now the security that was Puffy's principal security, who was Gene, he was in the truck in front of them. So they heard the gunshots and they went back. And of course the driver fled, and he jumped in the car and chased him down the streets of LA. And that's something that we didn't really hear in the story. And one of the things I want to ask him is, I wanted him to put us there in that place. That how was he feeling when he was chasing this guy that just shot his friend, just shot Biggie Smalls. This guy just shot the world's biggest rap star. And Gene Deal jumped in his truck and started chasing the guy. So I really wanted to get into his mind, what was actually going on in his body at that time. Because, I'm not soft. I'm not soft at all, but I don't think I'm built that way. Where if I'm in a different state, because they always from New York, and we're in a different state and someone kills my friend, shoots my friend, I know he has a weapon. I know he's willing to use that weapon. And he jumps in and just begins firing on my friend, get away, and then I jump in the truck and try to chase behind him. I don't think I made that way. I think I would have went to my friend's rescue. But to actually jump in the truck and actually chase the person that just murdered and just killed my friend, I don't know if I made that way. Maybe I am. Maybe you never know how strong you have to be until you have to be put in that situation. But that's just really an amazing story. That's a story that we don't hear too much. And the thing about the platforms that we have out here now and everything, they talk to everyone. They talk to everyone, to the person that have washed the cars of these celebrities, to everyone that has cut the hair of these celebrities, and try to get every story. But the one person that no one never ever talked to was Gene Deal, former life protector of Puffy. No one never talked to him. And I always wonder why. And he has said to this day that there's a lot of lies that's been told. He said they didn't have adequate protection when Biggie and all of them was out in LA. That he told Puffy and he told everyone that we're going to get killed tonight. Someone's coming to get us tonight. Because see, what people don't know, there was 3 facets that was out to probably get Bad Boy that night, according to Gene Deal. There was 3 facets. You had the LA Police Department, which we know had ties with Death Row. You had the guys on the street that was just, regular guys that was getting caught up in the East Coast, West Coast whole drama back then. That, you got gangs, you got people that want to get a name for themselves, they want to take sides. And then we have an equation with Snoop and his people. Now, I'm going to explain how Snoop fits into all of this. Not saying that Snoop had anything to do with it, but this is factual what occurred. So I'm gonna go back before they went out to California, Biggie and whole Bad Boy entourage. Snoop and the Dog Pound had came to New York, and they had did a video called New York, New York. And according to them, it was supposed to be a video complimenting New York. It was supposed to be a video giving props and praise to New York. And it ended up going totally wrong, because what happened was Biggie had got on the radio that morning. And Biggie had said on the radio for all the goons, he started calling out names of goons, that Snoop and the Dog Pound and Death Row was here in New York shooting the video. Well, upon Biggie telling everyone on the radio that, Snoop trailer got shot. and they could almost got killed. And so they had to flee the trailer. So forward fasting back to when Biggie was in LA before he got murdered at the in front of Peterson Museum. Snoop was calling Biggie. And Snoop was calling Biggie and he was asking him his whereabouts. And it was already told to them that Snoop was in California at that time. That Snoop Dogg was in Miami. But yet, he was calling Biggie almost every day. Every day, Gene Deal said that Snoop was calling Biggie, asking him, where was he? Where was he? Where you at? Where you at? And he's way in Miami. So that kind of leads you to think, what role did he have in this? So you had so many different entities. And the reason why Bad Boy went out there, and that's another thing I want to ask Gene, if we can get the logistics going and he can come on. I want to ask him, why did Bad Boy go out to California to begin with? What would make them go out there? And especially so close after Tupac had died. Why was Biggie even put in that position? And it's just so much to the story. I mean, the story is so deep and there's so many loopholes and there's so many different things that happen with the story of Biggie and Tupac, with the wars that we're having. I remember one of the stories that Gene had told me was that Puffy could have killed Tupac at the house behind in the parking lot of the House of Blues in LA if he wanted to. So I guess it was Suge Knight, Tupac, and Puffy and Biggie and the whole entourage had rolled up. And Puffy and their crew was, they were strapped, of course. And Puffy asked Suge, he said, do we got a problem out here? And Suge told him, no, we ain't got no problems. Then he went to Tupac. He said, hey, Pac, do we got a problem out here? And Pac waved it off like that. So, according to the story, Puffy wanted right then and there just to go ahead and get it taken care of. But he had chose not to, for some reason. So it's so many stories that's within the story. So many things that happen that we as the public didn't get to know about. And I know a big majority of these stories, and I want to tell a lot, but I think that the person who lived these stories should tell the story because it's their truth. And I don't want to come off like these other podcasts and these other platforms and just go off of hearsay or go off second knowledge. Because whenever you tell a story, things always get lost in translation. You always leave things out, or you may not hear it 100%. So I have like a lot of these stories that went down with Tupac and that went down with Bad Boy. A lot of inside things that I know, but I want the person who actually lived the truth to tell the story. And I can't understand why The Breakfast Club, why vladtv, as much as I love vladtv, The Breakfast Club, all these major platforms, they talk to everybody except for the man who was there when Biggie got killed, except for the man who lifted Biggie out of the car and put him on a gurney to take him into the hospital. They talked to everyone except for the man that jumped in his car and went and chased down the murderer of Biggie. So none of these platforms have talked to him. None of them will talk to him. So hopefully, I'm really hoping by the time this live is over with, that I know we was having logistics problems earlier, but I thought we had figured it out. So I'm really hoping that we can find a way, and working on it now, to get him into this feed, because I mean, his stories have been celebrity to the stars. They're just really amazing. Now you can hear these stories for yourself. Now, just because he might not be able to come through, we had made the commitment for him to come on the show, but I know we was having logistic problems. You can still hear all these stories for yourself. And me being who I am, I'm not going to be selfish. I'm not going to have sour grapes and say, well, he's supposed to come on my show. No, I'm going to tell you guys his platform so you can hear a lot of these stories for yourself. So you can hear a lot of these truths coming from the horse's mouth who actually lived it, who spent every waking minute with P. Diddy protecting his life, who spent the last 2 weeks exclusively with Biggie. I remember the one story that he had told. First, let me tell you who he is. His name is Gene Deal, and you can find him on YouTube at The Gene Deal Show. Gene, Gene, Deal, Deal. You can go to YouTube and go to The Gene Deal Show, Cooking a Conversation. So he has this real cool show where he cooks, and he cook his ass off. And he's doing cooking, and he's telling his stories of being with Puffy and being with Biggie, and even with other celebrities. I love the Halle Berry story that he told. I think I'm gonna tell that story. And I'm gonna tell the story of Jennifer Lopez that when he and I was talking, that he told me about her. So I will tell those stories. But I want you guys to hear his stories coming out of his mouth. So, you got the Gene Deal Show, Cooking a Conversation. And you can find him on YouTube. And he also did a documentary. And it's called The Last Big Night. And he chronicles the last week of Biggie's life, when he was with Biggie Smalls, the last week leading up until his death. They were together. And he also had the biblical portrayal of Biggie Smalls. So you can find him on YouTube. It's the Gene Deal Show, Cooking a Conversation. And his stories are just amazing. I'm going to go ahead and tell 2 of his stories of other celebrities real quick. And like I said, we're working really trying to get him on. I know I told everyone that he would be on. And I hope before this feed is done that he will be on. But in the meanwhile, you got me, I got you. I know everybody's in. So anything you want to ask, anything you want to say, let's just have real talk. I haven't did a live feed in a while because I've been putting a lot of time into my YouTube page. Let me tell you something about YouTube. And I'm not trying to really offend, I don't want to offend anybody. But when I came from doing lives and everything, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to YouTube. When I was doing all my Facebook lives and everything, I had a real nice following, especially with my last platform, The Real 2 Minute Mic. And we were talking really about a lot of political stuff. Because I came up with that platform because I saw that a lot of black people, especially a lot of young black people, they're not really into politics. I saw that politics had failed a younger generation. A lot of them was the registered voters. So I tried to come up with a way to make politics hip, fun, and smart for a lot of younger black people. So I came up with the platform 2 Minute Mic. So then I said, okay, well, I want to kind of go into a little bit different directions from this because I don't do this for money. You know, a lot of people, they do these platforms, and no knock to them and no offense to them. I do it as hobby. I do it because I like doing it. It's not how I pay my bills, not at all. It don't even come close. If I had to depend on my platforms for money, then I probably would be homeless. So I do it for love. I don't do it for a profit. So once I got into YouTube, I started the YouTube, and I was wondering why I wasn't getting the same reaction from my videos on YouTube that I have done on all my other lives and I have done on my other platforms. And YouTube is a something. I mean, it's kind of really hard to be average, really smart on YouTube because you have to look at, for the most part, the audience. And the audience is really a lot of younger millennials. It's a lot of younger, it's a younger audience with a very short attention span. So your videos have to be pretty much short. They can't be long-winded. Your videos have to, I don't want to talk about nobody and say you have to dumb yourself down for YouTube in order to be successful, but you kind of, depending on your target audience, and if you really want to do well, you kind of got to have the audience that, like I said, first has a short attention span. And secondly, the audience, you can't really be, how can I say it? You can't really just be too intellectual. You have to kind of tone it down just a little bit. A lot of people say dumb it down. I won't call YouTube audience dumb. I just say they have a short attention span. So when I went to YouTube, it was really an eye-opener. You know, because I was started off and I started making all these political videos, and I started making all these videos, motivation, and nobody was hearing that. So then when I noticed, I said, okay, I don't really want to talk about celebrities, but pretty much that's what you have to really do on YouTube. You have to either be a celebrity, be an insider, or have a lot of gossip about a celebrity and be willing to tear someone down. Now there are some podcasts that don't do that. I'll give you one of them. The Big Facts podcast with A.O. Canseco. Now, he's a younger guy, and he's able to reach the younger generation. And I call him a ghetto psychologist because he's a guy that have been through the world, have been through the streets. And he's able to reach these young people and give them a message. Actually change their life. Actually, he condemned drug use. But he's still hip. He's still tatted up. He still give that representation. They look at him, they still see one of them. But the things that he say is pretty much to try to uplift. So you do have some of those shows on YouTube, but mostly for YouTube, if you're going to be successful and you're going to make it on YouTube, you pretty much have to be willing to tear down celebrities and talk about celebrities, unless you have your own truth, unless you were a celebrity insider, unless you did have a relationship with a celebrity, well, then you're telling your truth. But for people like me just to sit behind a microphone and talk about a celebrity that I never met and try to shit on them. I think I did one on my YouTube page. I went after Jess Hilarious, the comedian. And that was one of the few videos where I actually went after a celebrity. And the reason why I went after her was because she was trying to come up against another black YouTuber who was a female and who was young. And she did a video about Jess Hilarious, and I guess Jess Hilarious didn't, kind of like the video. So Jess Hilarious had threatened to blackball her, get her page shut down. Well, when I heard that, then, I always call myself the bully's bully. I had to react, and I had to go in on Jessica. So if you want to go to Twisted Tongue Podcast YouTube, you'll see the video of Jess Hilarious. And that is like pretty much the only celebrity that I went in and just try to destroy. And believe it or not, that was my highest rated video. So to be successful on YouTube, you do have to be willing to be cutthroat. You have to be willing to do that Wendy Williams or Tasha K style of being behind the mic. And I just really don't think that's too much for me. I want to go into two stories that Gene, while we're waiting for our logistics team to get us connected, I want to go into two stories that Gene had told me. And like I said, once again, his name is Gene Deal, and he's life protective of celebrities, and he has protected most of the celebrities that we have enjoyed listening to, enjoyed watching, and he have like some great stories. And if you want to hear these stories, you can go to Gene Deal Show on YouTube. Gene Deal Show on YouTube, Cooking a Conversation, and he have, oh my God, might be close to 100 videos of different things with celebrities, and he has he goes in a lot of detail on Puffy. I mean, when I say, I'm not even going to dare say some of the things that he said about Puffy, because A, I don't want to get sued, and secondly, it's not my truth to talk about somebody, but that's his truth to tell his relationship that he had with Puffy. And it's just mind-blowing. But I will tell you two quick stories that he did tell me when we were talking last night, trying to get everything together with this show. Halle Berry. So he was bodyguarding Halle Berry one night. So they were at a club in New York. And Halle Berry at the time was going with Christopher Williams. And Christopher Williams actually me and Jay was watching it on Unsung about a couple weeks ago. And Christopher Williams was involved with Halle Berry. So Halle Berry was out. Gene Deal, my boy Gene Deal, who was bodyguarding her that night. And Christopher Williams pulled up on her. So I don't know what had happened, what was going on. But he jumped on her. He jumped on her. Now, I remember back in the day when we heard these stories that Halle Berry had got her eardrum busted and, she was getting beat up by all these other male celebrities. We automatically just assumed it was Wesley Snipes. I guess because he's dark-skinned and Christopher Williams is the pretty boy, quote unquote, And we automatically just assumed that it was Wesley Snipes that busted her eardrum. And who knows, maybe it was. But according to the story from Gene, they were in a club and Christopher Williams pulled up on Halle Berry and snatched her up. Not only he snatched her up, pulled a gun out on her. So my boy Gene Deal, he got him, did his little, whatever it is that security do, the little moves and stuff that they have, and was able to drag him outside the club and take the gun from him. Now, the funny part about this whole story, if you pull out a gun on somebody and you get drugged out the club by security or the person that was protecting the person you pulled a gun out on, and there's no police or anything involved, you're naturally just going to go ahead and just walk away. You're just going to go ahead and go. Well, after Gene took the gun from him and drug him outside, he actually asked Gene, can he have his gun back? And he actually said, can I have my gun back? And from what I was told from Gene, that he said, this girl, I'm in love with her. She got my head going. She got me crazy. But yeah, he put hands on her in the club. He also told me about Jennifer Lopez. So it was him, Gene. It was Gene. I don't want to keep using the word him. It was Gene, Puffy, and Jennifer Lopez in the studio. Now, one of the things I like when he was telling me about the stories of Jennifer Lopez was that Jennifer Lopez, he spoke of very, very highly. He had said that Jennifer Lopez was a very, very beautiful woman. That Jennifer Lopez was a very gracious woman. He actually enjoyed being around her. Puffy actually introduced Jennifer Lopez to him as his uncle. So that's how close he and Jennifer Lopez relationship was. Well, they were in the studio, and supposedly Puffy had some other girls there to meet up with him. And he said that that's when Jennifer Lopez turned to Jenny from the block. That she was not no punk. That she went back to her car, she slicked her hair back, she threw on some gym shoes. Y'all know how she's Puerto Rican, but that's still black. Y'all know how them black pretty girls do when they want to rumble. They put on them gym shoes, they put on some Vaseline. I never knew what the Vaseline was for, but they get that Vaseline, they slick that hair back, and then it's on. So Jennifer Lopez, she turned to the Jenny from the block, and when it slicked down the hair, went back in the studio, and eventually chased the girls about the studio. And like I said, a lot of these stories you can hear at the Gene Deal Show, Cooking a Conversation, or on YouTube. I really would want you guys to go to his page because there's a lot of things that it's not been told in these sagas with Biggie and with Tupac. There's a lot of these stories a lot of things surrounding it that's not been told. I was told that basically a whole East Coast, West Coast war all started because Suge was having sex with Puffy's mother. Can you believe that? All that time, when we were younger, back in the day, and we were seeing this unfold live, and we was reading all of this, and we were seeing all this go down, we was wondering, okay, everybody can sell records. What is the problem? Why does there have to be, you have to choose either I'm riding with Pac or I'm riding with Biggie? Like, there should be like enough money for everybody. And it was told that the whole East Coast, West Coast war all came down because one record CEO was having sex with another record CEO girlfriend. Two of the greatest artists of all time. Yeah, Pac and Biggie did have their problems or whatever, but I think they would probably have worked it out had both of them had lived because they were good friends. But to have these two record CEOs put a flame on the problems they were having because of a woman, and then you have people dead. Hip hop has never been the same since the two of them had died. That's disgusting. You know, that's disgusting that these men had to lose their lives. One of the questions that I asked Gene, because like I said, when you go to his platform and you listen to the stories that he tell about his life with Bad Boy and the dirty, devious things that Puffy was doing. I mean, everything from, just really, really bad things that he was doing to his artists. I asked him, did he talk to Biggie's mother, Mrs. Wallace? And he told me that he did talk to Miss Wallace. And he told Miss Wallace that her son wasn't protected. That he told Puffy, and he told his crew before Biggie and them went to California. He gotta, forget it, I'll just go ahead and say it. He told me so, it's record, and if he told me, he was gonna tell it on the show, so I guess I'll go ahead and tell it. He received a call from someone that was locked up in the penitentiary before they went out to Los Angeles, Biggie and Biggie's entourage. And Gene was, he received a call from someone in the penitentiary that told him that they need to be strapped up when they go out there. And he went back and he told Puffy that we're gonna die if we go out there to LA. We're gonna die. And Puffy pretty much blew it off. And then he said he went to Biggie and he went to Little C's. And he told him, I got intel. Now, for those of us who know how the prison system works, the streets is the second people to get the information. Everything starts with the prisons. The prisons is the ones, they're the ones who know everything that's going on. When you lock down, when you're in prison, you know everything that's going to go on, everything that's going to happen before you can get to the streets. And then it trickle down from the streets via people making phone calls and three-way calling and sending kites and everything. Then that's how the streets can find out like what's going on. So they were told that someone is going to die tonight if we go out here to LA. And Puffy ignored it. And so I asked Gene, I said, did you tell his mother this? Because it sounded like his mother has a case the held Bad Boy liable for his death. If they knew that these threats was going on, you personally was told that you all are going to get killed if you go out to LA. And Puffy still went out there, did provide extra security, did provide extra protection for Biggie. Would Biggie's mother be able to hold Puffy liable for Biggie's death? And the answer was a resounding yes. It was yes, that Puffy would be responsible for Biggie's death. But in the way that he didn't provide the adequate security when he knew that people were threatening them. And so I asked him, I said, well, what was the conversation like with you and Biggie's mother? And he told me that he told Biggie's mother everything that had happened, including the part where when he had lifted Biggie out of the gurney and took Biggie into the hospital, took Biggie dead body out of the Yukon and lifted onto the gurney, that Biggie had defecated on himself. And that's when he knew that Biggie was dead. And Mrs. Wallace told him that she don't never ever want to hear that again. That, don't never tell her that part about her son again. How he died, shot up in a car like an animal. And it probably all could have been prevented. And I know that Gene really feel bad about Biggie dying on his watch. I remember he told me, he said that one of the reasons, and it didn't dawn on him at the time, but he indirectly told Puffy that Biggie potentially had beaten Puffy out of tens of millions of dollars. And I said, whoa, hold on. This was right before you guys went to LA? And he said, yeah. He said that he told Puffy that Biggie had potentially beat him out of tens of millions of dollars. So I said, well, how is that possible? So we all remember Lil' Kim's video Hardcore. And that's the video, her album Hardcore. And I think that was the album, if I'm not mistaken. I just seen so much, I'm so old now. I didn't forget more than a lot of people remember. But I think that was the album cover where she was sitting with her legs open. It was like, man, something we never seen before in hip hop. Because female rappers, they dress it, B-boy style. So now you got this female rapper in a fur coat with panties and bra on, laying against the wall with her legs open. So Biggie wrote that whole album. Now, according to the deal that Biggie had made with Puffy, Biggie had sold Puffy his publishing. And that's something that a lot of celebrities do. A lot of celebrities sell you their publishing. They want to make more money. They first get into the game, their CDs. They don't get their money right away. So what a lot of them do, they sell them their rights and their publishing. So Biggie had sold Puffy his rights, rather, not his publishing. I want to get it right. That's why I wanted Gene on the show. Gene, try to get on here so I don't mess anything up. But Biggie had sold Puffy his rights. So what that means that when someone buys your rights, for example, say one of you guys buy my rights, that means any video I make, any touring I do as far as speaking, anything I do, you guys are to get paid from that because I already got my money up front when I sold you my rights. So any money that I'm going to get it outside of the business arrangement I have with you, that money gets funneled directly to you. It's almost like you put a down payment on the money that I was going to make in foreseeable futures. So Biggie sold Puffy his rights, but when Biggie wrote that Lil' Kim album, he told Puffy that Lil' Kim had wrote an album. Now, we all knew it on the streets. We all knew that Lil' Kim did not write that album. It was just too good. It had too much of a Biggie vibe around it, too much of a Biggie cadence even to her flow. So we knew that Biggie had wrote Lil' Kim's album, but because Biggie didn't want to have to give that money to Puffy, Biggie had told Lil' Kim, we're going to say that you wrote the album, you just kick me off, on the side of the money, whatever. Well, Gene had unknowingly told Puffy that. And Gene did not know really about the music industry like that, the ins, the outs. He just did what his job was as far as what his role was with the Bad Boy family. So he had told, and it's funny how he told Puffy. They were arguing, they were going back and forth. And I guess Puffy probably had some type of rule where you can't, security can't smoke weed or be high or whatever. So I guess Gene had smoked a little bit of weed with one of Biggie's boys. I think the Biggie boy name was D-Rock. So Gene and D-Rock had smoked a little bit of weed. So Biggie had went and told Puffy that he was concerned about not having enough security when they go to Los Angeles. And Puffy told Biggie, "Oh, we good. We got Big Gene. Gene gonna take care of us." So Biggie told Puffy, "Hell, Gene in the backyard smoking a blunt with my mans." And so Gene looked at Biggie and was like, "Oh, really, Biggie? You want to tell stuff? Or did you tell Puffy you wrote Lil' Kim's first album?" That was huge. Whereas we know hardcore went on to sell millions and millions and millions of records. And you're looking at possibly tens of millions of dollars that Puffy was cut out of from Biggie because of that. Because had Puffy known that Biggie had wrote Lil' Kim's album, then Puffy would have been able to get that money instead of Lil' Kim saying she wrote her own album, keeping the money and just breaking off Biggie the money physically for writing it. And so I always wondered how Gene felt about telling Puffy that. Because tens of millions of dollars, I mean, I ain't saying, but I'm just saying, that's definitely a reason. If you want someone to be murdered or you don't want someone around, or even if you know that something's going to happen to someone, well, you can turn a blind eye. And I know as a person that's responsible for people's lives, that really, really, really had to devastate him and make him wonder, did he have something to do with Biggie Smalls' death? You know, just that whole era was just really crazy because we saw some of the best hip hop that we ever heard. I was a Pac fan myself. I mean, Tupac to me was the voice of the streets. He was the voice of all street dudes. And street dudes needed a voice at that time. You know, yeah, the Public Enemies was cool. The Ice Cubes of the world was cool. But Tupac was the realest to me that ever did it. And he always will be the realest. And it's just sad that you got all these bloggers and all these platforms out here that's pushing narratives to get them paid. And there's very few people that is being prevented from telling the truth. And I've always wondered, like I said, I've seen these Breakfast Clubs and I've seen these vladtvs, which I am a big fan of vladtv. And they interview all these people. And I always wonder, why won't they interview the person that actually was there with Biggie died, that saw Biggie die? What is it that they don't want to come to the light? And then it dawned on me that they have to sell a false narrative. Greg, Katie have to sell this narrative of him closing out the Tupac and the Biggie case. I solved the case. I had to make murder rap. I made this documentary, solve this case because black people don't read books. So I had to do it in the form of a documentary. I said Orlando Anderson killed Tupac. And the story is just so different if you have the privilege to talk to the insiders of what truly actually happened to Tupac. How the Biggie situation was an ambush. Nothing beats an ambush. That they were ambushed. And we all know, even here in Chicago, you know when you sound off a gun or you shoot a gun, the helicopters coming, the police are coming, they even have equipment that can even detect the exact place where the bullet came from. And when I was talking to Gene about how Biggie died, and he the one who said it was ambush, I'm going to try to paint the picture as best as I could that night, because it's obvious that Gene Gill didn't make it through logistic-wise. So we kind of knew it was going to happen. Like I said, he's in New York, and there's a lot going on in New York. And we was trying to work on our logistics last night, but something didn't, I could tell something didn't go right because we've been working on it, trying to get him on. I will get Gene on the show, I promise you. And I'm going to do my best, because I promised yesterday when I advertised this that we were going to detail the last 24 hours of Biggie's life. But he was going to do it since he was there. I wasn't going to do it. Of course, I didn't know Biggie. I wasn't there. But I'm going to go ahead from this notepad that I have right here to everything that I wrote down when we was talking. I'm going to do my best to try to tell you guys, coming from the mouth of someone who was there, the last 24 hours of Big Night. And I'm going to try to tell it in a story form. And I'm going to try to make sure I don't say things that can get me sued. So they made it to LA for the vibe party. It was at the Peterson Museum, and we all know the story. They went and they made it there. So they at the vibe party, and Biggie never wanted to be there. Biggie didn't go to none of the other parties that was going on. Biggie only went out to LA to work on his contract. That was the only way Puffy was able to get Biggie out there, was to work on his contract, because he had, he wanted to redo his contract. He wanted more money. He needed more money. I remember Gene telling me that he was in a Winnebago with Biggie, and Biggie's mother had called. And I guess Biggie was getting his mother a house built. And I guess it was like $60,000 that was needed to go in the house. So Biggie mother called and told him that she needs the $60,000 for the contractors. And he said, okay, Mom, I got you. I'm gonna send the money. So Biggie pretty much really didn't have money at that time. He really didn't have a lot of money. He was trying to get his money, even though his first CD sold all these records, and we know what Life After Death, his second double platinum CD, did. But he had passed away when that came out. So Biggie needed money. So that's why Biggie went out to LA. Gene Deal even said that he saw the contracts that Biggie and Puffy was going to work on, so Biggie can get his money. So that was the reason why Biggie was in LA. But Biggie laid low. He didn't go to any of the parties. He really wasn't out in California because they didn't feel safe. It was really soon. Tupac had just died earlier, within that year earlier, and now you're out in California, which, you're sitting ducks at that point. I don't even see why they went. So anyhow, Biggie pretty much stayed in. He didn't go to the parties that Gene and Puffy and everyone had went to. He was afraid for his life. So we get to that night of that vibe party. So they're in the party, and the thing that stuck out to me most that Gene Deal told me was that Puffy was totally out of character from who he really is. That Puffy wasn't this type of person that just went through the party and loosey-goosey, and he was just totally out of character from the things that he would do, even including to waiting for people, because he said Puffy never waited for nobody. When they was ready to go, when the cars was lined up, when it's time to go, you out of there. If you ain't here in the car, we'll catch you later. He said that he was even waiting around outside lingering. And he said he was even looking at Puffy like, man, this is out of character for this dude. He just don't be out here just lingering around out here like this. He felt something wasn't right. So during that night, Biggie's in the party. Gene is next to him at the table, and the party's going good. Gene got the, warnings they was going to get killed. So he got his guns on his lap under the table at the party, and him and Biggie talking and vibing, and Puffy's bringing all these girls up to Gene. We're going to have a swimming pool party tomorrow. Gene, I want you to remember her. Gene said, I got you, Puffy. Well, another girl and another girl. So Puffy's just running this whole team of girls. He's running back and forth to the table where Biggie and Gene is, to telling Gene to remember them for tomorrow's event that they were going to have. So Biggie looked at Gene, and Biggie said, how are you supposed to remember all that? And what was prolific to me, and what was what was like a prophecy, is Gene told me that he wrote down on a piece of paper to Biggie, I will remember. Let's think about that for a second. I will remember. When you go to Gene Deal's YouTube page and you hear him tell these stories about the truth about Biggie Smalls and what happened to Biggie Smalls, he kept his word to Biggie. He told Biggie, I will remember. And they went through the party, and now it's time to go outside the party. And this is where Gene told me that the ambush set up. The fire department stops the party. Everybody abruptly leaves. Biggie, Puffy, Gene, all the bad boy, they directed them out on one side. So now they're on one side of the museum, just them. Everybody else, police, firemen, other party goers, they're way on the other side of the building. I've never been in the Peterson Museum in LA, in California, but I'm assuming it's a real big building because it stores these million dollars worth of cars. It's a museum that have all these cars that's worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, which leads you to believe like there had to be cameras to actually videotape Biggie's death. There had to be cameras there. I mean, you got all these black people in this huge museum with all these hundreds of thousands of dollars of expensive cars. And you mean to tell me that there's no cameras there? So anyway, Biggie, Gene, and Puffy, they all came out the museum on one side where everybody else was allowed to come out on the other side. So they're all there by themselves. So Puffy and Gene, because Puffy's Gene's principal. So anybody that knows about security, your principal is the person that you are responsible for. So Gene was directly responsible for Puffy's life. So he rode in the car with him. So they all get into the two Yukons. We saw the videos. We saw the pictures of the two Yukons that they were in, but they was rentals. And that's key to a part of the story. Those was rentals. And the car, the engine had a governor on it, meaning you can't go past 90 miles an hour. So they get in the car and they're driving off. So Gene tells the driver of the car that he and Puffy's in to run the next 3 lights. You know what you feel when you feel it. You know when something's about to go down. You always should follow your gut instinct. You always should follow your first mind. So Gene told the driver of the car that he and Puffy was in to run the next 3 lights. Driver ran the next 2 lights. Now Biggie, Junior Mafia, and his entourage, they're in the Yukon that's behind them. So when Puff and Gene go through the light, Biggie stops at the light. Well, right on the side of them was this car that had been sitting there all night, where the alleged shooter was. So no car never drove up to Biggie's car, like the police reported. Officer Kading is trying to make it seem like it was just this random car just drove up and bang, bang, bang. No, it was not like that. This was a planned attack. This was an ambush. And there was 3 different facets that was out there to kill Bad Boy that night. One was probably including the police department. Puffy and his entourage goes through the first light. Biggie's entourage stops at the second light. At that time, a group of girls walked up to Biggie's truck. Yeah, sound like it's playing just like a movie, right? A group of girls, and no one ever interviewed these girls. No one ever bothered to find and talk to these girls. That was right there at their car when they stopped at the light. They're driving. So someone in Gene's entourage happens to look back to see where was Biggie and Biggie's entourage. And that's when he said in the car, someone's pointing a gun at Big. 3 seconds later, maybe even a second later, you hear the gunshots. From what I was told, Puffy hid up under the dashboard of his car. Gene is trying to get out of the car to run back there to Biggie and them. And the driver of the car, upon hearing the gunshots, instead of him going back, he shoots forward. Then he stops, reverses, and goes back. And Biggie's shot at that point. So Biggie's shot, they all jump out the car. Everybody jumped out of Biggie's truck. All the doors to Biggie's truck open, except for Big's. So pretty much Big, was laying there in the car, shot up. So Gene jumps in the car. And you can hear these stories for yourself. I encourage everyone to go to Gene Deal's page. It's Gene Deal, Genedeal. Cooking a Conversation. He got a real cool YouTube page where he tells you all of these stories of his life of being security to the stars or being life protector to the stars. He also has a documentary called on YouTube, The Last Big Night. That's a 3-part documentary he did where he details the last 2 weeks of Biggie's life when he was with him leading up to his death. And he also did a documentary called The Biblical Betrayal of Biggie Smalls. And I really advise you guys to really go check that out. So they come back, Biggie shot, everybody jumps out of Biggie's car, all the doors are open like an airplane or something, except for Biggie's door. Gene at that point jumps in back into the Yukon they rented, him and one of his guys, and they actually start chasing a guy. Now this is where it's important that they rented those Yukons, because as he's chasing this guy down the California streets, and he's a better man than me. I think I said that earlier. I don't think I would have had that fortitude, that testicular fortitude to know that this guy just killed my friend. He has a weapon. I'm not from out here. It's dark out on these streets. I don't know where I'm going. He just killed my friend, and I'm going to jump in the car and follow behind him. So Gene jumps in the car. He follows the killer, the murderer of Biggie Deal. Oh, Gene is on here. It's Big Gene. It won't let me go live. I knew we was having some problems, Gene. And I'm like really so sorry. I'm trying to tell this story for you the best way I can. I hope I'm not leaving anything out. I hope I'm doing you justice. But I did encourage everybody to go to your platforms. I gave them all your platforms and told them to go to all your platforms so they can hear this for themselves, because this is your truth. But since you are here, if you don't mind typing, I mean, I guess you can type some things in, and I don't know how much you heard, but I hope I'm giving you truth to your story, because I think you have a real great story, Big Gene. And the sad part, and what I said once I first started, was that out of all the people that have these people that's connected with Tupac, that's connected with Biggie, they have everybody on. The Vlads of the world, the Breakfast Club. They talk to everybody, from the person that wash their cars to the person that iron their clothes. But I can't understand for the life of me why nobody won't talk to you. And that's why I've been trying to tell my audience and explain to my audience that your story is really a story that needs to be heard. And I encourage everyone to go to your platforms and to listen to your stories. So let me get back to the story that I was saying about you. So Gene jumps in a car. He's chasing the guy. He's chasing the guy through the streets of California. And the governor kicks in on the Yukon. So as we all know from the reports, this guy was driving Impala SS. Gene is in the Yukon. And because it was a rental, the governorship kicks in. And the car goes down from 90 and it winds down. So unfortunately, Biggie's killer got away. And it's really sad. And the reason why I say it, because we lost two of the greats that I feel should not have been lost. I hope that you guys do go to Gene's page, because like I said, he can tell the truth way, way better than I can. I love for the peace to hear. I love the place to hear my voice on your platform. You know, and I really want you guys to go on his platform so you guys can really hear these. I mean, these are some amazing, awesome stories. Hey, Gene, I did tell him the story that you said about Halle Berry, where Christopher Williams wigged out and called himself trying to jump on her, pull out a gun, and you took the gun from him, and he asked for his gun back. I just thought that was hilarious. But I am going to get Gene Deal on. We're going to work this out. We're probably going to Skype and record the Skype and upload it. That's what I wanted to do at first, but I kind of outsmarted myself. I figured, well, let's just go on live. We both can go on the same time. And I'm going to have to find out why with Facebook, with this live on my Twisted Tongue podcast, that I can't have Gene get into the video. So I don't understand why I can't get this going. I should be able to invite him into the video. He should be able, I don't know why. But I want you guys to go to his platform. I want you guys to listen to his story, because we definitely need the truth. I mean, we need to know what really happened. We need to know from people that were there. Like I said, you don't even have to listen to me, the things that I just told you. You don't have to listen to those things. I wasn't there. I don't have a truth in this. I can only go off of what I've been told. And I want to say something to a lot of people that's listening to this. Do your own research. Do your own cross-referencing. Do your own research on things. If you know 20-some years ago you heard something totally different, and now it's 20 years now, and the story's changing, and things just don't seem right, question that. Just don't take that for face value. Just don't take that these people are telling the truth. Reference it, cross-check it. One thing I know about Gene, and the first time I heard of Gene was on Nick Bloomfield. I think the guy's name is Nick Bloomfield, and he was a reporter. That he was the only one that actually sit down and talk to him. And one thing I can say about Gene is that his story has never wavered. It has been consistent. He has gotten death threats. Yeah, he has gotten death threats to keep his story to himself. His story's been consistent. He talked to Biggie's mother. He talked to Miss Wallace. He told Miss Wallace what happened with her son. he told Miss Wallace how he felt about what happened to her son didn't have to happen. And that speaks a lot for the person that Gene Deal is. It speaks a lot to the heart that he has. Because he could be like anybody else. Ain't nothing to see here. Keep it moving. Ain't nothing to see here. It happened, and, we didn't know nothing was going on, but he didn't do that. He challenged the status quo. He stood up to the so-called billionaire. He stood up and said, no, this is not right. This young man should not have had to die. This should not have had to happen. And these are the variables that was put into why this man died. I'm going to get Gene on, but in the meanwhile, I want you guys to go to his platform for me. Gene Deal Show, Cooking the Conversation, The Last Big Night, and The Biblical Betrayal of Biggie Smalls. They all are on YouTube. So I want you guys to hear these things for yourself. I just gave you just a synopsis of just the things that I was told by Gene. And I didn't even hit the tip of the iceberg because I didn't really want to tell his truth. And, I didn't want to tell his truth, but I wanted to tell you enough about him so that you guys can go and listen to his platform and that you guys can get his book that should be coming out soon. I don't know the title of it, but he's also writing a book. And realize why no major platform has had him on there. Because his truth can actually take food out their mouth, believe it or not. Because these people have built a livelihood and they have built a platform on false narrations. They built a platform on stories that sound sexy. I'm still waiting to see that big black arm of Orlando shoot Tupac. I'm still waiting for that. I'm still waiting for Orlando's big black arm. Orlando wasn't big or Orlando, nor was Orlando black. So who really did shoot Tupac? Why is it so convenient to blame it on Orlando? Because he got beat up? Because he's dead? The first time I see a big black arm on Orlando, the next time I see a big black arm on Orlando will be the first time I see a big black arm on Orlando. So there's a lot of things that's out here. There's a lot of false narratives, a lot of false premises. Now, this one is personal right here for me. I watch some of everything on YouTube. And one of the shows that I watch, as well as the Gene Deal Show, I watch Casino for Life. Of course, the Big Facts podcast with AO. And I also was watching the Gangster Chronicles when it first came on. Now, the Gangster Chronicles is the death row side of all this. You have former death row security and you have former people that's connected with death row. And they have a podcast called the Gangster Chronicles. There's this gentleman on there whose name is mobjames. Now, I've seen him on vladtv. I watched him. I actually like mobjames. And I'm going to tell you why I have so much admiration for him, or I had so much admiration for him. Because this is a guy, same game, different tribe. We all came up the same. We all came up in the streets. We all did things. But to actually be able to go from the streets and to actually change your life and do a 180 and do something good with your life is to be admired. So I had admiration for mobjames. That's, it's this blood from California, and he did a lot of bad things, and he made his life good, and he's out here, he's doing podcasts, and he's telling young people to stay out of the street life, to stay away from the gangs. I want to say he's from South Central, Compton. He was a blood from Compton. And he did time in jail, he did his time, and he's out here trying to do the right thing. And mobjames, this is the thing, when you know better, you do better. When you came on your platform and you tried to tear down the things that Gene was saying about his truth, and not only did you try to discredit him or tear him down, you said, we can move this table back, implying that you want to fight Gene. When you know better, you do better. How can you go around telling these kids to abandon the life that they're doing, that you've been there, that you've done this, that this life is no good. Violence is not the way. When you know better, you do better. Work on your future. Work on making yourself better. Those are the things that on your platform that you tell the young people who listen to you. You have a following. You have a following of young people that do listen to you. And then for you to threaten another man or to imply another man that you were in a fight with him, man, that's whack, man. That's not cool, homie. That's not cool. Especially when half of the things that you all talk about is because of violent situations. Tupac and Biggie dead because of violence. You're talking about that on your platform. You're talking about the life of Tupac like Gene talks about the life of Biggie. And knowing that Tupac died from violence, why would you be so quick to invoke violence to another man just because you don't like something he said, may have said, or did say? I can't roll with that. That's weak, Mob James. That's real weak. And personally, I don't think you can take Big Gene, but that's neither here nor there, but that's weak, man. When you know better, you do better. Now, one time have I done a show where I'm talking about pulling guns out on someone, or I'm talking about jumping on somebody or pulling up on somebody. Yeah, I have done shows that have gave a history of who I am on my resume, or talked about experiences in my life or my truths. But I have never done a current show where I'm actually threatening someone. And that's just not cool. And I believe it was a yes master type situation. I believe that if Greg Caden was never sitting in that room, the guy that wrote the documentary, Murder Rap, the man that's getting you a paycheck, the man that got you going to Australia with your podcast, Master, you know what I'm talking about. Had he not been sitting in that room, I really don't believe that you would have threatened Gene Deal. Because that was a threat. We can move this table back. Come on, man. I thought you wasn't about that life no more. Thought you don't let people of another race incite you to do damage or do harm to your brother. And not that Gene is worried. He don't need me to speak up for him. Because like I said, I don't think you can take him. But that kind of blew me. And I lost respect for you. And I know you don't care about my respect. Who am I? I'm just a video person that got a couple platforms with a couple hundred followers, and you sit on 20, 30,000 followers. So I get it. You can care less about my respect for you. But see, you got to look at it like this. Things come in numbers. If I lost admiration for you, how many other people that I actually fancy you lost admiration for you? A person's truth is a person's truth. And just because you may not like their truth, doesn't mean that their truth is wrong. It doesn't mean that their truth is not the truth. Even if a person perceive it or see it in a different way that you do, even if they see this in a different way that you do, you can't take another man's truth away from them. I know for a fact that people are still hurting from what happened with Biggie. I know for a fact a person is still hurting from that. I know for a fact a person go to bed every night with that on their heart and on their mind because they were there. They chased after the person that shot Biggie. They lifted Biggie off the gurney. Out of the truck and put Biggie on that gurney. They sat down with Biggie, mother, and they told Biggie mother what happened to her son. What really happened to her son. And how it didn't have to happen. And because you don't like what this man may have said, you want to challenge him to a fight because Master's in the room? That's weak, Mob James. I thought you was much better than that, bro. Much better than that. I'm going to wrap it up here. I just wanted to get them things off of my heart because I believe that this man's story should be heard. And I am going to get him on the show. I'm going to work some logistics. I'm going to work some magic and make sure that he's on the show. I don't know why he should have been able to come in on this show right here. I got to see what's going on with my live. And we're going to get this happening. So I want you guys to hear his story for yourself. But in the meanwhile, you still can. You can go to YouTube, Gene Deal Show, Cooking the Conversation. You see his name right there on the screen. You know, he's right there. He did check in with us. Credit to him. It won't let him go on. It won't let him in on the live. but he did show up, and Gene, I really appreciate that. You can be on any platform. My platform is nothing, man. Hell, my platform is not even working logistically. But you committed yourself to come on to my show. And brother, I appreciate that. And I still can't believe for the life of me why these other podcasters and these other platforms won't hear your story. What is it that they're so afraid of? What is it that you're going to say that intimidates them? You know, what is it that you're going to tell that's going to make other people look negligent for their actions? But I thank you for attempting to come on my show, and we're going to work this out and everything. But meanwhile, guys, go to Big Gene Show, Big Gene, Gene Deal, Cooking the Conversation on YouTube. Gene, The Last Big Night, a 3-part documentary he did detailing his last 2 weeks with Biggie prior to Biggie losing his life, and the biblical betrayal of Biggie. And those are really good things, especially now in this time where the coronavirus is taking effect and a lot of us are in the house and a lot of us are quarantining. Give you guys something else to, look at, something to, absorb and get new knowledge and new information. I want to switch gears, if I may, and I want to talk to my people for a second. And we know that the coronavirus is really taking us out. And it's not a black or a white thing, or we're more susceptible to diseases than other races. But we have to really make sure that our immune system is very healthy. Now, there's a lot of things as black people that affect our immune system. We already know the impoverished conditions in which we live, being angry, high blood pressure, not eating right, bills. We all got bills. Injustices. You can see something on the news. I know I do all the time. I see something on the news and it makes me mad, and my heart rate start beating faster, and I'm shaking, I'm nervous, I'm upset. I didn't work myself into hysteria. We got to. I'm gonna take this off. All right, take that off because I think the battery was down. So I'm gonna just speak without hearing myself. So hopefully I won't be too loud, because now I can't hear myself anymore. So we as black people have to really, really take care of ourselves. We have to really take care of our bodies. And here's a few things that we can do as far as keeping our immune system strong. Orange juice and zinc. Zinc pills, vitamin C pills, orange juice, sea moss, water that has pH levels in it. Not listen to violent music. Listen to music that puts you in a good frame of mind. For us as black people, always been like R&B. For me, it's old school R&B. Old school R&B puts me in a happy place. Old school R&B makes me feel good. Not getting so stressed out. Not worrying about our bills. Washing your hands. Washing your hands all day long if you have to. Wearing gloves. Wearing a protective face mask. These are the things that we as black people can do to better our immune system. Because we're set up we're set up to die from this. From our bad eating habits, from our impoverished conditions, from the drugs to the drinking to everything that we have done in our lives, we have pretty much done where we don't have a sustainable immune system that can sustain different viruses. And now we're feeling the brunt of that. So let's keep our hands clean. Let's shower daily. Let's not get stressed out. Let's stay away from drugs. Let's stay away from absorbent amounts of alcohol. Let's watch what we eat. Watch what we eat. Let's watch the things that we watch on television. Let's watch the music that we're listening to. And if we can do all these things, then we can try to maintain a strong immune system so we can really fight this off. Hey, I appreciate you guys for hanging in there with me. Gene, I really thank you for your attempt to do this with me. I promise we're going to make this happen. I'm going to be working on this today. And I wish you guys prosperity. I wish you guys good health. And always, like I end any one of my shows, Peace and love, family. I'll talk to you guys later, and I'm going to have Mr. Dill on this show for you guys. I'm going to make that happen, I promise. Peace, y'all.